Why does my line art always appear worse than my sketch? What can I do to make it better? I've loved line art for a really long time and I've struggled to get it right. Over the years, I was introduced to some exercises that really helped improve my line art. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the perfect line artist, but I'm hoping that the exercises and skills and tips that I show you right now will help improve your line art so you don't have to struggle as long as I did. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Ryan Height. I am an art teacher. I'm a professional caricature artist. I have illustrated book covers and I work a lot with line art. In this video, I will show you how I used to struggle with line art. And then I'm going to show you some exercises that I learned along the way that really helped improve my line art. And then I am going to show you what I do now that can hopefully make it so that you can draw perfect lines. I can't draw perfect lines, but I really like to strive for that. It's fun to get it right. So let's get to it. Now, the way that I used to struggle with line art, I actually found some old art, some old pieces of artwork from my sketchbook here, and I have pictures of them. This is a sketchbook from when I was in, I think, junior high or so. So if you can see in here, like, you know, the lines are, well, they're not very professional, obviously, but they're also, you know, they're not very dark. They're not telling the story very well, right? This is an example of something where I did it in pencil and then I intended to do a nice sketch on top, like a nice line art on top, because I loved Roger Rabbit, and then I wanted to color it really nicely. But this is an example of how tracing my own sketch did not turn out very good. So, you know, that used to frustrate me a lot. This is just a couple examples of, you know, where my line art was. I mean, I had talent. This is I think junior high or so, maybe even before junior high, because I stopped drawing right around 7th or 8th grade. So this is definitely in that time frame. But, you know, my line art was very sketchy and very, very shaky. I would pet the lines through, you know, instead of drawing confident lines. But I was getting a little bit confident, but I would just pet through the lines. These are from some animation book. I forget which one. Now, before I tell you about, because I want to show you some tips and some tricks, some things that I learned along the way, but I got to show you where what I was inspired by. I was inspired by this. So obviously this is Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. It's a book. And it was great for me as a kid to read. I loved reading these before, you know, the movie would come out. But if I could get this in the frame of the camera right there, and if somebody can tell me who did this artwork, I will love you forever. I mean, I have researched this. I've put it in Google. I put the image in Google image search, and all that comes up is that it's a Lucasfilm fan mail thing. But I would love to know what artist drew this. I mean, look at this, guys. This is amazing artwork, right? I mean, I could go on and on and on about that, but that inspired me to draw really good. Here's a couple techniques that I learned along the way. I don't know what to call these. I learned these when I was a caricature artist at Hershey Park. They, as a requirement in your training and as a job requirement, like throughout your caricature work, they required you to do these things, okay? So one of them is called, I think they called it the zebra. So it's where you push hard and bring down a taper, right? So you push hard and you bring it to a taper like that. Start strong and then end in a point like that. Okay. Now I'm using on Procreate something that I bought. It's called Mini Tom. I think it's a Tombow pen. Let me go to one that's actually in. So this studio pen is actually in Procreate as a default. So I'll do my zebra with that one so that you guys can try this from home if you have an iPad. Okay, and then the technique and the idea is that you bring the fade, the tip, right? Oops, sorry. This part right here, as close to the edge as you can, and then you don't touch. This right here is an example of what not to do. You want to just be able to have control over the pen well enough to bring it from fat to thin, get a nice line variant, and keep it straight. You get the idea. If you do it right, you're gonna get a little zebra pattern as you go through. You wanna fill pages and pages and pages of this. But do that as many times, fill as many pages as you can doing this stroke, okay? I'm actually doing a really bad job. I was doing okay in this area right here, but now this right here is just, it's not acceptable. I'm not coming down far enough. I'm probably just focused on talking to you, but that's why you wanna fill just pages and pages of this. If you wanna do small ones like that, that's fine. Small brush size, it doesn't matter. You can practice in all sorts of ways. Okay, so that's a crappy one right there. That's not so good because it touches, but this teaches you line control. This gives you line confidence. Now, speaking of line confidence, that's not so bad if you zoom out and look at it, but another exercise that you want to do that gives you nice line confidence and control are circles. So two things about circles, two things that I learned from Hershey Park on how to draw circles or what to do with this exercise. First of all, just simply try to finish the circle where it started without it breaking on the line. Like, try to finish so it's a continuous line. You want to be able to do that in one stroke. There, that's a good one. That's the only good one I did. The rest of these are not good. But what you want to migrate to once you get done with circles is you want to start thin, go thick and thin, and then you want to be able to have the same rule that this was, where you finish your line without it breaking like this, without it overlapping like this. You want it to connect. So practice that. Do pages and pages of this zebra, do pages and pages of normal circles, pages and pages of the line weight, where you go light, dark, light, okay? Pages and pages of that. All right. Okay, another exercise that I learned at Hershey Park was, I don't know what to call this, but you just draw lines. You want to get as close to the line as possible. You want the line to be as straight as possible, and you want the opposites, the thin and thick opposites, to match as good as you can. Okay, so just fill the page. Oops, I messed up right there. Fill the page with all this. You want the whole page to be like that. That Garfield thing looked fun, so I think I'm gonna go do that. I'm just gonna show you how I do line art now, and hopefully you'll learn a few things. I'll use the studio pen because the studio pen is, it comes with Procreate. So what I first thing I do before I started drawing is I check the thickness, of the lines and make sure that the thicknesses are gonna work, and make sure that it's an easy size that I can live with. That looks right. I want my lines to be good. So in order to get nice lines, you have to use your whole wrist, your whole arm, and you need to zoom in and draw big. So if I try to carefully draw this, right, it's gonna give me a pretty wobbly line. But if I just do a quick confident stroke, it's gonna be a nice straight line. Okay. I mean, I can also start strong. Let's see. I'm gonna start light, go strong, hold it. Right now I have an arc right there, and then I can move that wherever I want. I can make that the tongue if I want to, the little tongue mark. I can put it wherever I want. But this part right here is pretty difficult. I could do the tongue like this, hold it, right? But if I hold it, the ellipse doesn't really, I don't want any ellipse. I want this right here. Now, I just happen to have done a good job there, so I'm gonna leave it. That's gonna be the tongue. All right, and then I'm gonna put that part in. I'm gonna go this to thick. Undo is your best friend in digital art. That is how you draw perfect lines in digital art. Learn undo. Okay? Okay, I believe that John, his ear goes like this, and then the bottom of his face does that. I believe that's the neck. I think this is his collar. I should have researched this before I did this video, but even if this doesn't look exactly like John, you're gonna get the idea. I know that Jim Davis likes to do little bumps and big bumps, little bumps and big bumps, like when he does hair and clouds and stuff. So I'm just gonna do that myself. So I know that he does like a bump on the hand right there. He usually brings it up. There, just one confident stroke. Okay, now let's get the shoe next. He's all kind of mangled, so I can draw it like this. I'm gonna use this leg right here to demonstrate something. So let's say that I want a line to cross this line, but I want it to stop. I want to stop at this line right here. I could bring the leg part here, you know, and I could just stop right there. I could overshoot, and then I could just erase the overshoot like that. That does a good job. That's what a lot of artists do. Overshooting is really important because overshooting gives me a nice smooth line as opposed to just very carefully coming in here and getting the line right. So overshooting is important, but you have layers to work with. So add a layer, overshoot, get it right. I think I want the taper to be down towards the hand, thick up here. So I'm gonna overshoot like that. Okay. Now when I erase, I can erase confidently and not affect this line whatsoever. Otherwise I have to be really careful and make sure I don't affect this line right here. I like that. That's a much more efficient way to do that. Now let's say I want a certain knee shape right here. And I want it to be tapered. Let's say I want it to be thin down here and thick up here. So I can go like this. I can start lightly, go dark, and bring it up. And then I can change it to arc. And then I can move that knee line wherever I want. I don't really like that line though. So I'm gonna do it again. Thin, oops. Again, make it big. If you're gonna do a small thing, make it big. And then do your stroke as confidently as you can and then hold it. Like that. Okay, let's edit that. I want a droop. I want a little bit of a droop. So that's perfect. That's how I want it, like that. Okay, now I want to do a line through these fingers right here. So I'm going to use the layers. I'm going to add it up, or add a layer on top. Then I'm just going to draw my line however I want. I'm going to overshoot through this line. I want it thick through this line. So I'm going to go like that. Like that. Okay, now I can just erase and not to worry about affecting the line of the finger. And then this knee line that I just made. All right, so there's John, and he's got a few stars. I'm just gonna do the simple stars. I loved Garfield when I was a kid. All right, gonna do Garfield now. Okay, do my best to get that. All right. So I just pulled in a reference of the photo, the original photo, because my underlay is really blurry, but so is the original photo, so. let me just show you a quick little trick that I've also learned over the years. So, I mean, you can also use the erase tool as a line art tool, like as you're doing this. So, let me show you what I mean by that. You see this little bump right here? Like it goes, it just doesn't, it's just not consistent. Okay, I want that line to be as nice as consistent as I can. I'm not gonna worry about too much perfection, but since I'm trying to teach this, I wanna just show you this. So, I can, just like with a line, I can hold it and then it corrects itself, it smooths out the line for me. I have anchors to control my arc, okay? I have the same thing with an eraser. So if I make an arc eraser, okay, and then I have control over it, I can actually mold that to exactly where I want to erase. And I'm doing it in the same eraser, I'm doing it in the same brush as the brush I'm using so that it can be a nice smooth continuous line. I could do that around here too. Actually, I might do that right there too. So I'm gonna do a curve, hold it, take my anchors and just kind of control it around here so I can have a nice consistent line as I go all the way around. So that's a way that it's a nice little trick that I've learned. As you can see, I put a lot of things in speed, and it takes a lot of work to do it right. So, but it's worth it. It's definitely fun and it's worth it. And I love getting the lines correct.